In week 1, we lost to Noah Fafita and the Rams, and I could only watch as the backup QB. All of that is about to change. Right before the game, an anonymous source came out from the coaching staff voicing their concern about our lack of experience at the quarterback position, and people felt that the team should have had a vet that was ready to take over the team, but they forgot that the Cowboys didn't just draft me in the 5th. I'm a second rounder. I should be ready to take over in case of emergencies. And this was more than just a simple emergency. Dak was most likely going to be out the entire season, and I saw this as an opportunity to prove to the front office and the coaches that I could legitimately take the starting job, even if nobody else was in my corner. Hell, even the GM who drafted me in the 2nd expressed that he wasn't comfortable with me starting already. But guess who was the only one that had my back? Marshawn Ford, my Louisville tight end, of course. Bro was the quarterback whisperer. He let me know that he'd be a safety net for me if I needed it and couldn't run my way out of it. Despite his support, I was playing nervous in the first quarter. I wasn't connecting on my throws, and my lack of arm strength was really showing when I tried to fit my balls into tight windows, if you know what I'm saying. But how could you not be nervous in your first start, or at least a little bit on edge, when this is the moment that you've literally been trying to make a reality for nearly 20 years of your life? I wasn't just an NFL quarterback, I was the starting quarterback now for the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Everyone could tell I was playing to not make a mistake, and when you play like that, you get too conservative and you don't give your guys a chance to actually go and make a play. I was holding on to the ball too much and not trusting my eyes, which got me sacked a few times in the first. And some people consider a sack to be almost as bad as actually turning the ball over. With a minute left in the half, we'd only put 3 on the board, and on 3rd and 9, I bounced outside the pocket early trying to run for the touchdown, but the Saints were ready for it, and we settled for a field goal again. We still hadn't gotten a touchdown midway through the 3rd before I uncorked a throw that was finally more than 10 yards down the field like a big boy, and Alex Davis did the rest, taking it 62 yards after the catch for my first regular season touchdown pass of my career. I mean, look at how small that window was, and I threaded it through perfectly, and that definitely gave me some confidence to start airing it out. Even with my confidence boost though, we didn't score another touchdown, but we did win the game 19-10 for our first win of the season and of the Hinch era. By week 9, I had definitely grown in confidence as I got reps with my top targets and got used to the playbook, and we were playing against Anthony Richardson and the Colts as we tried to stay afloat in the NFC wildcard race midway through the season. We got in the end zone once to make it a 3-point game, and we drove down the field again when I ad-libbed on some plays, ran circles around the D-line, and took off. But momentum sort of abruptly disappeared for us when I got hit on a throw that would have given us the lead on the 3rd down. Instead, we settled for the tying field goal, and after that, it was pretty much all downhill. In the second half, I got hit on a throw that was almost identical to the previous red zone drive, but this time the ball floated just enough that it was picked off by Jonathan Jones. And it was still a tie game late in the 3rd, and I wasn't having a bad game overall myself. I found Marshawn Ford over the middle, and we picked up the first, but then Marshawn refused to go down, and a few defenders popped the ball loose, and we had another drive and in a turnover. To start the 4th, it was still anyone's game, and we were at the 13-yard line in the red zone again. I had CD in the backfield and hesitated just half a second on the curl route, resulting in my 2nd pick of the game and our 3rd turnover as a team. And for the cherry on top, I got sacked in our own end zone for a safety. Yeah, we lost that game. For the midseason check-in, here's how everyone's doing. At this point, I have 9 touchdowns and 6 picks. I have about 400 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. The rest of the run game's not great. Marshawn Ford has 700 receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb has 600 receiving yards, and Ford had also our leading 4 receiving touchdowns. You might not believe it based on the midseason game against the Colts, but we had just enough of a functional team that we made the wild card against our in-division rival and number 2 seed New York Giants. In this game, I felt like I was starting my first game all over again. The playoffs are obviously a different beast, but I couldn't be that stressed with so many talented players around me. Not to mention that this team had just won the Super Bowl only a few years prior. In 2024, the Cowboys won the Super Bowl and Pollard ended up winning Super Bowl MVP. After running into the end zone for our first score of the game, the Giants answered right back, and even worse, I got hit on a throw down the field late in the 2nd and the ball was picked off. I think a casual might blame the O-line for not blocking well enough, but a smart quarterback needs to either not throw the ball at all to begin with, or throw the ball with some anticipation, and as a rookie, I just didn't have that yet. We fell down 16-7, but we made a late drive at the end of the half out of nothing. I made another awesome throw on a deep corner route, testing the limits of my arm, and then I escaped outside on the next play to get us even closer to the end zone. I tried to make the safety miss, but I didn't have the same athletic advantage that I once had in college at Louisville. I got sacked a few times in the red zone, and I thought we'd have to settle for a field goal since we were nearly back at midfield, but you all saw what I was capable of in the preseason, rolling out to my right on the sideline. Clearly the Giants didn't watch the tape. I made an insane last-second throw to Alex Davis in the back of the end zone and at least somewhat redeemed myself for that dumb pick earlier. The Giants offense, led by Max Miller from UW, a guy that was in the same draft class as me, proved to be unstoppable even against our top-tier defense with Micah Parsons. They continued to put pressure on our offense to score, and the Giants defense was also locking up in the second half. I had to throw the ball away with no options down down the field and 3 defenders coming after me, which killed our first possession of the half. And the Giants D wasn't giving up an inch, forcing us to another 4th down on our next possession. In the 4th, I threw another touchdown on 4th down when we needed it most, making it a 1-score game, but the Giants offense was just too much. The game was out of reach with a minute left, and I was just trying to make something happen, trying to buy time for a receiver to get open, and I got hit while scrambling and fumbled. We kept the ball, but that basically summarized the difference between our two teams in the NFC East at this point in time. Looking at the stats, Max Miller finished with 4 touchdowns and 0 picks. I had 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. Saquon had a great game. Tony Pollard played all right. I had a solid game running the football, aside from the 3 fumbles, and some of those fumbles ended up not meaning anything, and we got the ball back. But I also got an upgrade after the game, so I'm up to a 76 overall. I started this season at a 74 overall. And looking at the awards for the year, you can see that Micah Parsons won Defensive Player of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year went to Noah Fafita. We have a rivalry coming together as the Giants ended up winning the Super Bowl and Max Miller won Super Bowl MVP in only his first season.